You just received your first shipment, and 999 out of 1,000 are bad.
And why are you knowledgeable about this?
Because I've had 2,999 out of 4,000 pieces, out of 3,000 pieces be bad.
Yeah.
I'm knowledgeable about this because I have been through the ringers with manufacturing. I didn't start with a good foundation like you did, and I tried to go my own route to protect my intellectual property. We'll get into that soon, but getting screwed on your orders is a very real thing. It's something you have to look out for, and it's something I really want to educate the listeners on today, certainly, is to not make the mistakes that I did.
Yeah. I almost think sharing your story and educating is going to be great. I think people still have to know that these mistakes are going to be made, and it's not even a mistake on your part. I think it's just part of how you go about dealing with the certain manufacturers. And we can hit on the difference between, I think we did last episode, of the route you went versus the route I went, but both still have their issues and both still have their bad, straps or products.
Strings attached.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, certainly. So the big theme today is going to be perseverance. And it's a reoccurring theme in this podcast, and it's never going to change. But today it's very important because you've just been hit with a scenario. Okay, you've been following along with the podcast. You laid out your provisional patent. You got a manufacturer lined up. You got your drawings together. You're communicating well. You're on fire. You think you're doing everything right. You say, honey, I just sent $10,000 to China, and in a month and a half, we're going to have product at our door, and I'm going to sell them all by Father's Day, and we're going to make it, baby. And then that shipment shows up in your driveway, and you unpack it, and you're taking pictures, and you bring your kids out because this is the day I started my business, and you want to remember it. And then later that night, you have a little feeling in the back of your mind, so you go down to the garage while everyone's asleep, and you test a little aspect of your product, and sure enough, it doesn't work. And of course, your mind goes to a horrible place. You say, oh my God, all of them are bad. Oh no, don't be silly. Some might still be good. And sure enough, after 4 or 5 days of running your hands over 1,000 products, you find that all but one are bad. What do you do? What would you do, Marcus?
I mean, before I got into it, if you gave me the same scenario, it would be I'd probably break down and give up on that product because I've spent all this time, I've put all this money into it, I've sent it away. I don't have a full good grasp of what happens over on the other side, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to recoup this.
Yeah, that was my exact thought.
Yep.
I think I broke down pretty bad, and this exact scenario didn't happen to me, but I have had full 6,000 piece shipments come in bad. But similar scenarios have happened to where I was expecting a lot of product and so much of it was bad. And when this happened, especially the first time I broke down, very, very sad, didn't know what to do. But then you have to remember that this is just part of the game. And if you can't adapt, react, readapt, and act on it, you're screwed. You know, just quit while you're ahead. So yes, I think the first appropriate response is you get a couple days to grieve. Certainly, I think I took a good week or two to grieve on the issue.
Yeah,
but then once I came around and I realized I had to do something with it, I realized that what I had to do was milk the living crap out of that one working unit. That's all you can do.
and to be clear, that one unit was one unit of a new product that you came out with, not something that you have a bunch of. So you're in the promotion process and you're like, I'm trying to sell these straps, right?
Yeah.
So what did you do?
Yeah, I'd been pre-selling the straps for a long time, and I was pre-selling them based on a whim. I wasn't selling a lot intentionally, and because it's hard. But so to get to your question, it was a new product that I engineered, I developed. It was my responsibility to make sure it worked. I didn't do it, and it didn't work. So what I decided to do was take that one working unit and take it to social media as if everything was great.
Yep.
This is my product.
Yep.
Just got it. Love it. Taking pre-orders now. And what you do is instead of taking this moment as a negative and crying yourself to sleep, take it as a positive and think, I got a working unit.
Yeah.
And you got to block those 999 out of your mind, figure out what to do with it later. We'll touch on that next. But you have to persevere and keep pushing. You take that one unit, you use it to take product photos. Once those are done, you take that same working unit and you go film 10, 15 pieces of content on it. And now you push it and you start pushing pre-orders. And while those pre-orders are coming in, you keep the money moving and you go to the manufacturer. You tell them why they screwed you, why it was your fault, how do we resolve this? You're never going to win 100%. It's going to be a give and take, a push and pull. But you can find compromise and you can get it resolved. In the world of product development, 3 months is a very short amount of time.
It absolutely is.
And you can have this fixed in 3 months.
And I've heard this a lot on the TikTok and Instagram apps and everything like that. It's been beaten a little bit, but I like the idea of this quote. And that's like, failure is the price of entry or admission to all of these things. You know, if you want to be a public speaker, a personal speaker, you're going to fail the first couple of times, whatever it may be. And this is just part of the game. Like it's not realistic to think you're going to walk in and things are just going to always be perfect. And this is a bigger one because you've committed $10,000 or $5,000 and you're excited. And, when I get this, I'll be able to recoup my money and start the process. And it comes and it shuts you right the hell down.
Yeah.
And let's talk about real quick the difference that you are doing this through a manufacturer that you found. So you are your own, like, the quality control should be done by them, but then it's on you. So for me, if our listeners remember that my scenario is I have kind of a middleman who's here in Los Angeles or here in America, and it's their manufacturers that they're dealing with. So I have a bit of a buffer. And I also had my first shipment of 1,000, 120 were automatically kicked back by their quality control. So I didn't have to receive a big bad batch of anything because they were already pre-done. The thing is, once I got mine, I still went through them. Actually, to be fully honest, 100% of mine were bad, but they were only bad because they hadn't been buffed. And that was an easy solution for me. I ended up hiring somebody to sit there and buff 800 units. It was super quick. It wasn't a big deal. It just had to be done. But of that, another 80, I kicked back another 80 units because my wire was broken on some. I had super big, like a gouge in some. So you're always going to have to do your own quality control. The difference in our cases was instantly my person said, yep, full responsibility. We'll get the manufacturer to cover all that. So I kept 100% of those losses just wrapped into the next group that's going to come. Right. So just to be clear, that was the difference. If you do find that middle person, we talked about that on another episode. You can find that, but
yeah, in the manufacturing episode, I don't remember what number, but that was the name. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's where, so I was trying to essentially own the manufacturing process, and boy, did I own it. And now I had to own my F up. There was nobody to have my back there. And so money is still owed. Things are still up in the air. There's still kind of manufacturing gets kind of, the orders get kind of lost and diluted and who owes what. And you just have to keep a good relationship and keep some money flowing with the manufacturer. But basically the recourse was, hey, all these products failed. They failed in this way. Here's half a dozen videos of random products being pulled and proving that they fail. And I need to know what we're going to do about it. And it takes a very long time. They talk to their managers and their bosses. They kick the can down the road. They'll deny it to the bitter end. No, dear, our products are quality tested. We have this, that. No, you don't. To get back to what you're saying about the liability coming down to me, if I want it done right, I would have had to implement the proper quality control procedure for after manufacturing. There, I have to build the program here, or the pamphlet. You got to put everything on paper and then send it to them, and then make sure they're executing on it properly. And without being on the floor, you just don't know. But I don't want that to discourage you. It's just, as you said, you can't become a doctor and not be a whatchamacallit for 2 or 3 years.
Right, intern or
your
residency. Residency, yeah.
The same goes with any job, and this is arguably one of the most rewarding jobs you can have.
Yeah.
When you can kick back and collect passive income, getting paid 7 days a week, selling products 7 days a week, 365 days a year, waking up in the morning and seeing more money in your account in a day than you used to make in a month.
Well, and I just want to tap for those people out there also. I want to tap in that you considered yesterday not as stellar as your normal days, and that yesterday was still a week's worth of what you would have made in your job 2 years ago.
That's right. That's right. I'll be candid. I used to make $233 a day.
Yeah.
Working construction after taxes. Okay. Now, so all I have to do to make up for my day's pay is make $233. $233 is not a lot of money in the game of product selling. So yeah, if I have a day where I only sell $500 worth of product, I'm still making more in that one day, and that might be on a Sunday.
Right.
Because you're getting paid 7 days a week.
Yeah.
That was a hard thing for me to wrap my head around. But yeah, going back, this can be one of the most rewarding careers. You're going to have to put in that work. Now, you don't have to receive a shipment where 999 are bad like I did. You're proof of that. You can go a better route. You can be smarter about it. So let's touch on the main things to avoid. I'll kick us off with number one. Number one is don't assume that China makes good products.
Right.
Why? What's the deal with China? But yeah, really, Marcus, let's get into that too, because we've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
Your products are going to be made in China. That's kind of the way it is. There's exceptions. My wife and I just bought a Docata. It's a little pad to hold your baby between you and your wife while you sleep. It was $100 pad. It's like a glorified pillow, but it was made in America, sold at Target. So products like that where they're very health-wise or very organic-wise or touch-sensitive, there's manufacturing to be made. It's still expensive, but it can happen. But hardware and fly-by-night, on-the-shelf, Home Depot, do-it-best type of products, I'm sorry, for the most part, 90% of those products or of the components in that product are going to be from China.
And let's preface it by saying, for both of us, I think, when I first got into this thinking, I want a made in America product, and I did. And I tried to source 3 manufacturers, and 2 things happened. One, what I learned is the price, it would have cost me too much. The consumer would not pay, for my product at least, what it would have cost me to have it made fully in America. They just wouldn't. And the second thing is, a lot of the components that they would have been buying or using to put my product together were going to be from China anyway. So it's kind of a catch-22 because you can say it was made in America, but it's kind of like Ford or any of those things. Like, it's Ford, it's America. Yeah, so many components are not American on that thing. So it's where do you draw the line between being able to say something's made in America or assembled in America, or then just not worrying about that it's not?
Yeah, we used the example earlier today. You may be the most proud American, only buy in America when you get your Kleins and you're doing your electrical work or your plumbing or your whatever. All your tools are made in America, or at least they say they are, and you believe that they are. But when you go to pick up a pen to write out the work order for the day, where's the pen made? China. There's certain things that just, no matter what, they're going to be made in China. And odds are your product is going to be the same. So that's the big thing to look out for is, one, don't assume China just makes good products. It's a funny thing, isn't it, Marcus? They're like the most advanced country, one of the most. They're sneaking balloons over our states on the rig. Yet whenever they manufacture something for us, the first time anyway, it comes back like they don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, what? You put in a square when I asked for a circle.
Yeah.
You gave me an extension spring when I needed a compression spring.
And I think that's good to tap into your communication. And you've brought this up as well. It's a very yes culture and a very, especially when it comes to manufacturing. And you just have to be super, super duper clear that you guys understand each other. They understand you when you're giving them what you want things to do. Because I think, I want, like in your case, I want a buckle. Okay, we've got a buckle, but no, it needs to be an X rated. It needs to be, 2,200 pound rated buckle. Oh, okay. But then it also has to do this, and this. And it's easy for them to say, yes, we can get buckles.
Yeah.
But not really hear you or not really understand you.
Yeah.
And I think that's almost more. It's not that you can't expect quality, because you can. It's just going to take you a minute to translate exactly what you need and exactly how those things need to fit together.
Yeah. And the other part of it, it's our own fault. Because like I was saying, China can make anything amazing. They have a stellar space program. Their society is phenomenal. We're going there in a month or two. I've been looking at hotels, and they just look beautiful. Like, they're not ignorant people. That's not the message here. The message is, it's our fault, because as Americans, what do we do when we want something manufactured in China? We call them up. We say, how cheap can you get it to me? Well, what the hell did you expect?
Yeah.
Imagine that. You asked for the cheapest price you could possibly find, and you got something that wasn't space-grade technology?
Yeah.
Seriously, you got to take a look at that. So I think people's first instinct when they begin negotiations is not getting screwed on price. You shouldn't talk really in depth about price until you've been talking to a manufacturer for a solid couple weeks. You've conveyed your entire idea to them. You've conveyed your business to them. You don't ask, how cheap can I get it? Ask, how much can you make in a quarter, because we have lots of stores looking at our product. Don't ask, how fast can you ship it here and what's your shipping price? Ask, will you be able to provide packaging too? Because this is going on retail shelves. You have to portray the image of abundance with your business and with your product. The savings will come with that.
And that manufacturer is going to be that much more interested to work with you and help you through the process if they think that you're legitimate and that you're going to continue with them, because it does them no good if you're just like, I want 5 of these and whatever it's going to be. And then there's no skin in the game for them if they think they're just going to put in all this work too, get very little out of it. And that's a perfect example. And I think you've done a good job on that. Like the times that you've talked to manufacturers and that you did actually connect with them, there was something in it for them. And that could be a 5,000 strap order or whatever it may be.
Right.
Yeah.
You're right. You bring up a good point. When I began talking to them, I'm like, can you make 500 pieces? Mm-hmm. And 500 pieces, people, as far as straps go, is not a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
So I'm asking for a small order, and I'm asking for them as cheap as possible. So this is a stretch. The fact that they even entertain me is actually quite shocking. But it's a stretch, and that's why I got bad product. And then I built off of that crappy foundation. So when they first met Grant, they thought Grant just needs some cheap crap fast. That's basically all that I said to them as far as what they heard. By contrast, if what they heard was Grant is doing serious business in the United States, he's a mover and shaker, and we need to get him the best product we can, and we have to get this quote, so let's also be the cheapest.
Yeah. And that's a good lesson two lessons I've learned. It was told to me, I had 2 guys who created a product called Drop Stop. It's for your car, and it goes next to your seatbelt so you don't drop stuff down. Those guys went through the same motions. They did all the same stuff, the manufacturer in China. And what they learned was quality is absolutely important if you have to spend a little bit extra. And when you're scrimping your dollars in the beginning, it's very easy to think, oh man, even a quarter, but like 50 cents more. I have to pay 50 cents more, and I'm going to order 10,000 units. That's $5,000, right? Those numbers get very big very quick. But don't do that to every single component, because you're just going to end up coming back and eating it and spending double that amount later. And that's what they had taught me. They're like, so one of the questions I asked him is like, are you worried about getting knocked off? And do you have other products? He goes, we were in the beginning, but what we did is we made a quality product and it's at a reasonable price, and people will pay the reasonable price for a quality product over the junk that you can buy for $4 less or $3 less, but it's just going to go to waste. So, spend a little bit of extra money, even if you feel like you can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The savings will come. A lot of things will come. You aim for a 50% or better margin on products, but I certainly didn't start making a 50% margin until recently, years into the game. And I would stop myself and I'd say, oh, wait, Grant, remember, this isn't a viable business because on that one episode of Shark Tank, you learned that you should look for a 50% margin. Well, yeah, you should eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start off, you just got to look at turning over product. Get it and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Get it and sell it. Don't worry about what you paid for it. Just worry about what the U.S. market wants to pay for it, how much they'll pay for it. Utilize that, and then the margins will come.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first roadblock that we talked about. Number one, that's the deal with China. Number two is your process. Lay out a very good foundation and process for how your product is made. Now, I know you don't quite know how your product is made. You're probably relying on the manufacturer to figure all that out. That is not their job. Their job is to manufacture. Mm-hmm. If you lead them 90% of the way, they will finish off that last 10% quite nicely. But if you only lead them 10% of the way, mm-hmm. they're just going to throw it together and get it your way.
Yep.
I think I was only leading by about 25%. I was saying, here's a pencil drawing. I'm not going to tell you how the product works. I'm not going to tell you what the product is used for. I was sourcing 4 different components and assembling them in the USA to protect the intellectual property, mm-hmm. which in theory sounds very smart, and I would think I was so proud of that. I thought I was the whiz kid, but it cost me well over $100,000 in bad orders and downtime and lost sales and mm-hmm. lost opportunities. So that's the other one. Number 2 is lay out your processes and spend an extra couple weeks or a month just kind of in the dungeon doing the drawings, mm-hmm. building them on Keynote or Illustrator, whatever you like to use. It could be Microsoft Paint. As long as the lines are straight and it's legible, I don't care. Build those processes, take the pictures, build a sample yourself if you can, or a prototype, whatever you want to call it, and drive it home, man. Drive that vision home. You are the captain of the ship. And if you don't know which direction straight is, none of your crew does either.
That's exactly right. And also just respect, and we've said this before too, respect the time and the energy put in by all those manufacturers, no matter where you reach out to. Because if you give them a drawing or you give them something, somebody on that other side is going to have to source all those pieces. They're going to have to put that together to make that first thing and then do all that work. And you want to make sure that you're not just, you got 5 on the line and you're kind of doing this and you're promising things. Be very focused on who you do that with. They'll know, and it will make a big difference in the time when you actually start manufacturing, that they're going to respect you and getting things back to you and being better for you if you do that.
Yeah. So the third big caveat with Chinese manufacturing or manufacturing in general is to just be resilient. When these things do happen, have a plan. Be confident. Take that one good product and own it. March it up and down your street saying the product's here, go out and sell it, push it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in it, how the hell do you expect Tom, Dick, and Harry to believe in it when they see it on the shelf at Walmart?
I think resilience also, we can lump in there patience.
Yes.
Because, I'm a new company owner and I've got this thing and we're ready to manufacture and I've just started pitching it and people are liking it and I need to get it to them and I want. It's just not always on your timeline. Like, you just have to build in the fact that maybe it does come on time, but maybe there's a hang up in it and you need to, like you said, all these straps are bad. You've already promised this out there, or you've got customers who are excited about it. And now it's going to take you another 2 months or whatever it is to get that thing. You just have to have this built-in patience and understanding that it most likely isn't going to just go as smooth as you think it is. And you just have to be okay with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I'll give you a quick example of a timeline. So I've been doing torque strap for 3 years now, and I recently wanted to change manufacturer, and I had to do it fast because I had just received 6,000 bad pieces. So I approached 2 manufacturers who I've been chatting with. I've been kind of vetting, but I haven't really delved into business with them. And I said, hey, guys, I'm talking to them both simultaneously on separate threads. And I say to them, hey, guys, just had a fallout with a manufacturer. Great news for you. You have a chance at being an official torque strap manufacturer. This is the emergency. This is what needs to happen. And I'd like to have manufacturing finished in 30 days. Now, I thought, I'm already making this product. These factories already make very similar products. I know this product front, side, up, and down. I can get this done quickly. And both of them are professionals. And we are now 60 days in, and we still haven't been manufactured because it just doesn't happen that fast. Even now, even recently, with this, what I just told you about, I'm still learning that, hey, slow down, man, patience. If you screw up, you just have to plan on how you're going to live with that, how you're going to eat it, and how you're going to keep a little bit of money flowing for the next 3 months because that's the game it is.
And you will absolutely, and this is out of me having done it and you having done it, you will absolutely save yourself money by taking the time. Even if you're like chomping at the bit, you will save yourself money by doing it properly and, like you said, laying it out properly instead of trying to rush it to get it.
Yeah.
You absolutely will.
Yeah. So let's talk about the last bit of I think, question when it comes to Chinese manufacturing. Do I have to go to China? Do you have to go to China, Marcus?
I do not, because I have somebody who is represented in China and has, the person I've chosen has 120 products or something like that being made for their clients in China. So they have representatives who go over there. They have tie-ins with the manufacturers, and they do all that stuff for me.
Now, let me ask you this. With that, if you wanted to, could you go visit your manufacturer in China?
I don't know the answer to that. I probably could not, because I think that's depending on how good I am tied in with my middleman, if you will.
Your broker.
My broker. I would assume that they would probably want to keep that as their kind of thing, so I don't go undercut them or whatever. I don't know that answer. I could be 100% wrong. I haven't had the need or want to do it. So I'll come back on another podcast when and if I do and tell you what that answer is.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing. No, I agree. I don't think that you can do that. That's my speculation for the exact reasons you listed. But I think that that's okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to go to China.
Well, and if I don't need to, like, the whole point of having them is so I don't need to and I don't have to worry about it.
You pay for the convenience.
I do.
And you can pay a lot for that. If it's convenient, if it works, I don't care. It's worth every penny.
Yeah.
We've gone over your pricing, and for what they do for you, I'm in agreement with you that for what they do, I don't care what their cut is.
Yeah.
It's like, what do they do to this chicken? I don't know, but it tastes delicious.
Right.
It's the same theory. All right. So you basically pay for the convenience. You don't necessarily need to worry about that.
Right.
You can sleep at night, and you know that if something gets screwed up, it's really not on you.
Right.
Now, me, on the other hand, I'm in pretty deep with my manufacturing processes. For me to turn and go to the broker route, that's a very long process to get into. So I'm just going to go down with the ship, if you will. So what I'm doing is I'm sending our head of sales to China. He's going in a month and a couple of days. And I've been training the head of sales on everything torque strap, the product inside and out. He has been in the trenches with me. He's tested products with me. He understands what's good, what's bad, and what's ugly. And it's in his best interest to get good product because, imagine that, the salesman wants to sell torque straps. So, yes, for us, it has come to the point where it's necessary to go to China. It's interesting process. You have to be formally invited. The factories have to invite you. The factories pretty much have to book your hotels and your trains and travel because they're not going to speak English or they're just not going to understand. Like it's almost like it's not a, I don't want to call it a guided tour because that's kind of reflective of North Korea, but it's very much an assimilated process of travel. So we're going to China, and what Steven's going to do, he's going to spend about 3 days with 2 different factories apiece, and they're going to have all the samples, they're going to have everything ready to go, and they're going to build the product right in front of Steven. And then Steven can say, yes, no, maybe so, and at the end of the trip, he will grant one of them official, to be the official torque strap manufacturer, or one of them. So this is a scenario that has come up out of a lot of failures. This is coming out of an abundance of caution. We're not going to take hits anymore. We're lucky enough to set aside enough cash to be able to fund this trip, and it's worth every penny. It's going to be probably over an $11,000 trip, but it will pay for itself tenfold.
Well, and let's just reiterate that had you had the money and the knowledge to send him previous to a lot of this stuff, then that $11,000 would have saved you $90,000 because you said you ate $100,000 worth of failed straps, minus the $10,000.
Exactly.
But that him being able to see it, touch it, test it, and also show them how to test it properly, because that was the issue in your case. They said, yeah, these straps are great. You got them. You're like, well, they're not great.
No.
Yeah.
Your version of great is different than mine.
It absolutely is. And that's so important. So the whole it takes money to make money thing, you've heard it a million times, and you start learning that real quick when you're actually spending money on things and you're like, man, had I spent X amount more right now, it would have saved me so much money. Just don't be cheap.
Don't be cheap.
Don't be cheap.
That's right. And if you are cheap, don't wonder why your products are crappy.
Yeah.
And don't blame China.
Yeah.
They're sending people to space just as often as we are. They're flying balloons hella high over our heads right now. They can do it, okay? So you got to just give them the tools.
Yeah.
Understand they have the wherewithal to pull it off.
And that you get what you pay for. I mean, you said that as well. And I want to reiterate that again, is because I think a lot of people, especially people who don't know anything about manufacturing or just general, oh, why aren't you making it in America? Oh, it should be made in America. Oh, and yes, again, we both wanted it to be made in America. You won't pay. And funny enough, the people who are the biggest advocates and the biggest shouters in those cases, they would not pay what it would cost if we had what we made in America.
No way.
Just wouldn't.
No way.
And then you wouldn't have a product and you wouldn't have this whole process, and it just wouldn't go anywhere. So don't knock it. I get it. You're like, yes, the made in America versus the made in China, but it just is. And so many things around you and so many things that you think are or aren't, you just have to get it going. And maybe down the run, you can look back to America once you get the process and once you get your product, if you're really still into it. But I mean, I hate to say it, truth be told, most people for most products just don't care.
Yeah.
They just don't care. They see your strap. Does the strap work well and it holds their kayak to their roof well, or it holds their tools in their truck? Yes. Great. That's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, consider what product you're making. Marcus and I focus a lot on tools and hardware. That's the space we're in. But an example is, I talked about it earlier, if you're making an ink pen that has a funny cartoon character that you developed on it, no one cares if that's made in the USA.
Right.
If you're making American flags to be hung on 20-foot poles in your front yard,
yeah,
it might be a good marketing idea to make those flags in America.
Right.
Right? So consider what it is. I was in the electrical field. I know that people will swear that, Klein's is the only way to go because it's the made in America. It's the industry standard is what I heard, which is funny because that's actually a marketing ploy by Klein to tell you that it's the industry standard. Mm-hmm. But no, the industry standards are laid out by ANSI and IS something, all kinds of different manufacturing qualifications. But yeah, consider what product you're making. You're making windows. Yeah, maybe they could be mostly made in America. But if you're making tissues, people...
Can I blow my nose with it, and does it feel good on, whatever it is? Yes, end story.
Yeah, is the snot gone at the end?
Right.
Okay,
end
exactly.
Story.
Is the ink on the pen? I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. Boy, we really bottomed out, haven't we?
No, but that's the gist of things. Is the ongoing theme that's going to be across all of our podcasts is just perseverance, and this is no different. Like you've got, in your case, you got a bunch of bung straps. Do you let it stop you from this process? And oh my God, and I just can't do this. No, you figure out what the next step is, and you just keep pushing it along, and you utilize that. In your case, you use that one good one for advertising, and you pre-sell the heck out of it. And for the most part, people are pretty, especially for new companies. I know people want things right now, and especially with Amazon Prime, 2-day delivery, you want it right now. But people overall are pretty good about waiting just a little bit if they know, you're working on it and that you've had issues or whatever it may be. And, you brought up the 3 steps. You're like, China versus the U.S. China is China. You're going to have communication issues in the beginning. Be very, very clear with that, and just make sure that you are 100% in connection and understanding before you get that stuff done. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money down the road. If you have the ability and the gumption to get yourself over there to a manufacturer, which most people won't in the beginning, but you've learned that it's not only good, it's almost a necessity for what you're doing, then absolutely do that instead of just wasting that time and hoping. And then you said lay out a very specific good plan, which I kind of already said, but that's our second big key. And then I think the third thing is just be resilient. Just know, no crap is going to happen. It's just going to happen to you. We've both had it happen to us. Fortunately, I had a middleman to eat that and just be like, okay, I'm handling it. None of that really weighs on me. In your case, it was a harder lesson to learn because instantly you have to kind of scramble to figure that out and to communicate with a manufacturer who wasn't ready to take the blame for giving you bung straps. And that's it.
Yeah. And the last note about going to China, it's not hard to convey the information remotely if you're diligent. Looking back now, I can say that. But the big value in going to China is looking someone in the eyes. Mm-hmm. In this era, we've all had this happen where you've been on Zoom calls for so long, you feel like you haven't connected with anyone. It's a very real thing. So to go and look someone in the eyes, shake their hand, and have the agreement, I'm not going to screw you, you're not going to screw me. Mm-hmm. And if there's issues, I'll be back. Not in a threatening way, but in a we're going to figure it out kind of way, mm-hmm. because I'm here to spend some damn money.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. You're inventing, you the listeners, you're inventing to make money. They're manufacturing to make money. Mm-hmm. We're all here to make money. And happiness is the byproduct.
To keep things open and clear with everybody, you made a note that it's going to cost about 11 to 12 grand to send your head of sales over there. You're sending him business class because it's a long flight. So
right, 24 hours in the air.
If people want to expect, like, hey, if you have a bit of, you can do it for cheaper than that. Just so people know. I know that's way down the process of what people are going to get to as far as you're not going to just have a product and all of a sudden go to China.
Right.
But it's doable, and don't be afraid to start looking. I didn't think I would be interested or to do half or 90% of what I was going to before I started this idea and started this product. And you don't know what you don't know until you get in it and you have some failures. And even us telling you what to look forward to or to look to, you're still going to screw things up. There's still going to be things. Mm-hmm. You just know that that's going to happen, and don't give up on it.
Yeah.
Don't.
Definitely. I love that. Thank you for that. And yeah, really quick, I absolutely encourage anyone looking to start this process. If you want to start by going to China, I'm all for it. And yeah, I think you're right. I think you can fly there for closer to $3,000 or $4,000 doing an economy class. And if you talk the right game that we just spoke about in this podcast with your manufacturer, you let them know you're serious, you mean business. If you talk well enough, the manufacturer, they will book everything for you. They'll comp it. They'll pay for it all. That's their culture. They're paying for our hotels. They're paying for our travels. We didn't ask for that. They're like, oh, by the way, we're going to book your hotel Here's a picture, and it's just like glamorous, and we're like, wow, we weren't expecting that. So if you're the type who went and studied abroad, or after college went and traveled for years and years, if that's kind of in your wheelhouse, do it. That would be the best couple weeks and a few $1,000s you ever spent.
Or they booked it?
They both.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's all taken care of. Yeah, that's kind of just a thing. And maybe it's just my guy. I don't know. That was one of the guys who we're setting up to see.
Okay.
And they're both in the same town, so that kind of covered all of our expenses, really. So, yes, it could be very cool. And it would be an awesome first step. If I could go back in time, that's what I would have done.
Sure.
But I was too scared.
I would be.
I'm a little too scared now. That's why I'm sending Steven. All right, I'm going to wrap it up.
Before you wrap it up,
Son of a
bitch. Off camera,
Yeah.
You said it's going to cost you like $12,000 to send him there, but then you just said that it's all getting paid for.
No. Okay, let me fix that.
That's what I didn't understand. You're like, oh, they'll pay for everything. They'll pay for you there and the hotels, and they're booking it.
No. If you get there, once you hit the ground, they'll do their best to take care of you.
Okay.
You're responsible for your flights.
Yeah, okay.
Generally speaking.
Yeah.
And maybe one day when you're doing $1 million in business a year, you can say, fly me out. I want to check it out. And maybe they'll do that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode. I really want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Remember to follow the show on whatever platform you may be listening on. And certainly if you're on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. We're going to be back every week or two to delve into the pitfalls of manufacturing and to tell you that if we did it, so can you. Remember, this is a podcast that's going to benefit whether you're just thinking of an invention or you've been developing a product for years and you just can't get it off the ground. We're going to help you. We took the punches so that you don't have to. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one.